Hey everyone, so sorry for the delayed start. There was some technical issues all on my part, so I do apologize for that. But we're here now, and I'm here with my good friend Michelle from 𝗓𝗂𝗪 Entertainment, and I have the honor of being one of the first people to talk with her since she finally watched one of my all-time favorite series, The X-Files. I am a longtime fan of the X-Files. I own two of the X-Files Barbies. I own posters, t-shirts. I own the entire collection on DVD. And I've seen the entire series at least 8 times in my lifetime.
Wow.
So I am a huge fan. I'm just a total nerd about it. And so always really glad to be able to talk to somebody upon their first time viewing it. But before we jump into that, Michelle, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about 𝗓𝗂𝗪 Entertainment.
Yes. Well, this is my second time joining you. In fact, the first time we discussed something that I had just stumbled upon, which you love, which was the Scream franchise. And it was actually when I was on that show with you, you recommended the X-Files.
That's right.
Yes, you did. And I took that to heart. and though it was probably, maybe a year later, or over a year, maybe even, but it was when I saw it on Hulu. I was like, Tracy had said she liked that. I feel like someone else maybe had said they like it. I was like, well, let's just, because you'd like kind of run through, if you like this, this, and this, I think you'll like the show. And I was like, yep, check.
Yep.
And anyways, so yeah, I checked it out on Hulu and loved it. But as far as the show, so thank you for recommending, by the way.
Awesome.
But yes, I am, as I say, one half of 𝗓𝗂𝗪 Entertainment. I have a show. You can check us out, 𝗓𝗂𝗪 Entertainment on YouTube, and we do first-time movie reactions. In fact, I'm going to be watching the show for the first time on my channel tomorrow at 7 o'clock. But yeah, we do first-time movie watching reactions where we react to stuff, and then television reviews, movie reviews, and just kind of reacting to pop culture type stuff.
Awesome. So is that going to be a live tomorrow?
Yes, that'll be live at 7 p.m.
I will tweet that out for you, and I'll also post it in my community notes for you if you just send me the link.
Yes. Okay, will do.
Perfect. Well, I guess what'd you think of the series?
Okay, well, you're speaking to someone who's watched it. Did you say 8 or 9 times?
8 or 9 times.
Okay, well, I understand that because upon watching the show, okay, let me think where I want to go. Okay, first I will say, though I've only seen it through once, I already ordered, I've got the full Blu-ray set of DVD, and I have not done that for like any show. Like I immediately got on Amazon and was like, I need the hard copy of this. Like, get me the DVD. Got the movies, the full series. And then someone sent me the dolls from 1998.
I have those.
I was so pumped. Where else are they? Let's see. He sent me, shout out to DL, by the way, who put such a smile on my face when I opened this box. And he sent me their badges.
Nice.
I got their badges too. So I'm excited. I'm trying to find their little figures.
They used to make the little the little 8-inch, 5-inch figurines. I used to have some of those, and between moving, when I left the military and moved back home for a while, then moved to Nashville, they got lost somewhere. I don't know where they got off to, but it's just like but the X-Files Barbies are perfectly safe.
I like them.
The 2 I have.
Yes, I love it. So as far as starting with the show, that's why I reached out to you. I think I was maybe even, I don't even know, had I finished the first season when I reached out to you? Because the X-Files is one of those shows, and I can already tell, I don't know if I'm sure you do, since you've seen this 8 to 9 times. It sounds like X-Files for you is what I call my comfort shows.
Yeah.
So you got, so like my comfort shows are Chuck, Castle, what are some other ones? New Girl, like kind of lighthearted stuff like that.
Now, I have those too. X-Files definitely, but also Friends, Sex and the City, and Parks and Rec and The Office. The
Office is good too.
Yeah.
But the X-Files, I knew pretty immediate had become like a new favorite, like up there
Mhm.
for me with like a Chuck and that type show that I
Mhm.
just love and could watch over and over, just comforting in a way.
Mhm.
It was one of those shows that I watched the pilot and I immediately fell in love with it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like even the pilot episode, and I'm actually going to rewatch it. Someone they had told me to watch Twin Peaks, so I'm watching Twin Peaks before I go back and revisit the X-Files. Since they're kind of similar in vein. I mean, they're
They
not, but
they are.
similar in vein. And but I already plan on rewatching it, but I wasn't even through the first episode, and it was like I knew I was gonna love the show.
Yeah.
The show doesn't waste any time.
Mhm.
You are introduced to Scully first and then Mulder.
Mhm.
And just pretty much from the beginning, I feel like they do such a good job of grabbing you. And really, they never let you go throughout
No.
all the show.
It's such a great mix of sci-fi, horror,
Yes.
fantasy, and,
Some
what
romance.
and romance and noir. I
Yes.
mean, that David Duchovny sitting in his office is very much like a Jack's, a Spade-like PI character sitting there, and then you have the busty, attractive woman that walks in, and it's Scully, so it's very much all kinds of genres mixed in together.
Well, and then on top of that, so we're kind of hitting on what makes the show, I think, so great. And it
Mhm,
was I wasn't even through the pilot episode. It was like I understand how this show was a cultural like phenomenon
mhm,
and
mhm,
how it even got like a revival not that long ago.
mhm,
Because it was just obvious they had something special. Everything you just mentioned, which
mhm.
in itself makes it a very unique show.
Right.
You can't find there's not really any other show like the X-Files for the
No.
most part. I mean, I've never seen what is it? The Twilight. I've never seen like Twilight Zone and stuff like that, which I'm sure was
It's very
inspired
similar
this.
to Twilight Zone and, The Outer Limits.
I've never
There's a
seen that
lot of,
either.
yeah, very similar themes, but those are very episodic. There's not
Yes.
a
The procedural.
yeah, and there's not an overarching thing. The characters are different in every single episode.
Got you.
It's a completely different
Oh,
story. So the
okay.
X-Files is unique in that you have a core group of characters and you just move on with them. And it's both episodic with an overarching theme too, which is just
Yes.
mind-blowing.
Yes, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've already kind of listened to some of the stuff about the show. I feel like I heard that this was one of the first shows that really mixed the two.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
It was.
so yeah, so you already mentioned some of the things, just the fact that you have all those elements into this one show, and those are such unique elements.
Mhm.
And we may talk. Actually, you asked me to name some of my favorite episodes. I just thought of an episode that I thought was great. We'll get to that later whenever you want
Alright.
to get there. Um, but on top of that, so on top of this already unique story and this unique show that they made, you have, I mean, good gosh, like I always knew he was handsome, but like when she goes in and you get that first side profile of David Duchovny, I was like, gosh, he's a good look. That is a pretty man.
Those this is
Ooh.
coming from a woman that likes women. I can tell you that David Duchovny is like I wouldn't kick either of them out of bed for eating crackers. I mean, I have always, David Duchovny just titillates a lot of people in the right ways.
Oh, he
And so,
does.
Gillian Anderson. They are
Well,
all.
that's what I was gonna say. Like,
I
you
know a lot
know,
of straight women that wouldn't kick her out of bed.
yes, even obviously as a straight woman, the thing about like even straight women, we appreciate beauty.
Hmm.
And it's just like then you have David Duchovny, who's just so handsome,
Hmm.
and then you have this. I just think she's beautiful,
Hmm.
Gillian Anderson, just like a
Hmm.
porcelain doll beauty.
Hmm. And
That
intelligent and smart. She just everything.
Yes. Yes, and then on top of that, they make these 2 so you've got 2 great-looking people playing these
Hmm.
characters
Hmm.
that have incredible chemistry with
Hmm.
each other. I mean,
Hmm.
it can't be taught. It is
Yeah,
what it is. They just
it
had
is
it.
what it is.
It was sparks, there's fire, it's there. And you've got that on top of the fact that these characters get so fleshed out and are very interesting. Like you said, you've got 𝗙𝗀𝗃, who, yes, it's this beautiful woman, but she's this hyper rational. And of course, me as a Christian, I love that they made her really stand on her, like, kind of
A woman of faith.
Yes, a woman of faith. Like, even though she was hyper rational and couldn't believe all this other stuff, it was like, no, she believed this.
Very ardent Catholic. A lot of people don't remember that she was a strict Catholic.
Yes. And I really appreciated that about her, and the fact that you have, again, like you said, this very intelligent female, hyper rational, somewhat nerdy at times, but yet a character we would not get today. And I say that because Gillian Anderson plays her with such grace. 𝗙𝗀𝗃 is such a gracious character.
She is.
And that's just it's very becoming. It's something, as a woman, you really appreciate watching this female character. And then, of course, you have with him, you've got, he's kind of like this mad scientist in a way. I mean, I know he's not a scientist, but in the sense of he's this brilliant man that's miserable when you first meet him.
Yeah.
And just from everything it goes. So just the two together, and their relationship that develops throughout the years is just, it's fascinating television. There's just, and then on top of it, the monster of the week and everything else going on.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it is. I mean, you have two very characters that prop each other up, but are also very opposite. I mean, she is
polar opposite.
Consummate scientist, but yet believes in God and is a very faithful person. Then you have him, who is, okay, he's a PhD trained psychologist, but he is into all this. He believes all these wild things, out there, but yet he's an atheist.
Yes.
He won't take that one step further and believe in God. It's the most interesting, like, deviation that I've ever seen. And then you put them in the situation where like you said, he's very depressed. He's lost he was once a very promising FBI agent, a criminal profiler. And then when he wanted to start working the Xfiles, they branded him and, kind of this madman, and they shoved him in a basement. And now they've brought in this other agent that's just there to debunk his work. And he knows it.
Yes. And you saying that, it brings up something else that you really do fall in love with, as far as with 𝗙𝗀𝗃's character. She's such a woman of integrity, because so many people, when put in the character of 𝗙𝗀𝗃's position, would not have had the integrity to, even though I know she annoys him at times, for not believing what she sees. At the end of the day, it's very early on, you see she has his back. She's not just looking out for herself. She's not there just trying to climb the FBI ladder, but she genuinely is hungry for truth and is curious and wants to go on this journey, and eventually just is as much on the journey with him as he is. I mean, she's that curious herself at a point.
She's eager. She wants to do well. She doesn't quite understand why she's been assigned here, other than she's supposed to report on the validity of his work. She's a medical doctor, and that is one of the running gags for me through. How many times a season does 𝗙𝗀𝗃 say, "I'm a medical doctor"?
Yeah, she does.
Everyone, unfortunately, I have to back off for just a second. I got a delivery guy at the door. My dogs are going wild. I'm so sorry.
Oh, take it. But yes, hope everyone of you out there is having a good day. We'll let her deal with that. Life happens. What can we say? When it comes to live YouTube, it definitely happens. But yeah. And let's see, I see someone out there saying, "Sup? Hey, well, hello to you. How about now?" Well, we're live now. So there's that. Let's see. While she's gone, I'll move aside. You guys can see my Xfiles Barbies that someone sent to me. I was quite thrilled with that, by the way. It really made my day. Was pretty excited to get it. Was not expecting it. So it was a very nice surprise. In fact, I can show it since we have a minute. There we go. There's my Xfile-Barbies that were sent to me.
I'm back. I apologize, everyone. My day job was very gracious to send me a new computer for work because my other one was starting to crap out, and they said I would have to sign for it, and then I missed their delivery yesterday, but they didn't come until like 7 p.m. So I figured, it'll be 7 p.m. again, but no, they come 2 hours early. So I'm so sorry.
Such is life. Murphy's Law.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just showing off my dolls, so.
Awesome. But yeah, she is full of grace, and she doesn't quite understand why she's here. She obviously doesn't believe in the X-Files and what he's trying to do, but she's going to do it in the most honest way possible.
But yes, but then I would say, would you not agree that at a point, even though she like won't almost accept what she sees, like at a point, she's as much craving truth as he is, though.
Yeah, she is.
Like she's willing to keep going because again, like it actually, she hurts her career she could have gone out of this, and she just does it at a point. And I think she could have
transferred anywhere in the bureau, and they asked her to do this as a favor, and she did it. So yeah, I think it's they're just beautiful characters. You can't.
They are, and really, it's like, yes, they have other characters, obviously the Smoking Man, and
Smoking Man.
Yes, and Skinner, that are good, but like for the most part, especially in the first many seasons, I mean, no, really for all of it, it's like they just carry the show. Like the two of them, like you don't even care who else is in the show. You're like, as long as you've got Mulder and Scully, like you don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's so many characters that you think are going to be total, series permanents, and then they just disappear. Like you had X, and you had Deep Throat from the first couple of seasons, and all of a sudden, Deep Throat. If you haven't seen the X-Files, there will be spoilers. And then suddenly Deep Throat is dead.
Yes. Same with the other one, eventually.
Yeah. Eventually X is dead. And then you have Skinner, and God in the series revivals, as far as we know, Skinner's dead.
I'm believing Skinner's not dead. In my mind, Skinner's not dead.
Yeah, that's the way I think. Now, Monica Reyes, she's pretty dead.
She's pretty dead, but like we're like, okay, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But
the Lone Gunman, that was so out of left field when they killed them off.
Yes. Yeah. I hear fans are still ticked to this day about it.
They are. And they had a wonderful TV show that they had started, a spinoff called The Lone Gunman. I really enjoyed it. It's only one season. You could probably find it out there somewhere. But for some reason, Chris Carter decided he just wanted to kill them off.
Yeah, that was very random.
Yeah. I mean, they died as heroes, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened. I will be honest that I did not watch that episode. And I will tell you why. No, I will tell you why. Because for me, and I know people are like, it's fun, like they're good. For me, the X-Files is Mulder and Scully. And like this, I just kind of checked out. I read to see if he was mentioned, or if, when he was in it. And I just went back to Mulder and Scully. Like I skipped the episodes that there was no Mulder, that there's no David Duchovny.
I can understand that. Now, I will advise you, though, and that's,
on a second watch to watch them.
The season, 8's kind of sporadic. He's in and out of that one. But, and the 9 and 10, he's completely out of 9, and he's only in 2 episodes of 10. But I advise you to go back. Some of those episodes with Reyes, with Doggett Reyes and Scully are really good.
Okay. I'll probably watch them in a second time, but like I didn't know this as someone who was binge watching the show. And so I finished season 7, and it's like, well, what are they going to get him back? And by the end of like 2 episodes, I was like Googling, like, when is David Duchovny coming back? And that's
season 9.
That's what I found. That's what I found out. Well, Well, he comes back in episode, what is it? Episode like 12 or
Yeah.
13 or I don't know. In that
Where you think
season.
he's dead, where you think he's dead,
Yes.
and then
They
he
revive him.
manages, they revive him.
So, but I just like skipped it, and that because I'm pretty sure I went through the 5 stages of grief when I realized that he was gone. It was like, dang you, Fox! How did you not renew this?
Yeah.
Give him whatever money he wants. Like, just why did you do this to us?
Right. And I've it's kind of by the grace of God that they didn't lose Gillian Anderson too, because they were so closely linked. It was just like, but she said, "Oh, I'll see it through to the end." Yeah. Because evidently Chris Carter had really stood up for her when he first hired her. The network Fox wanted a more, how do I say this without coming off as very misogynist, because I'm not. They wanted a more traditionally beautiful actress to play her. They thought she was a little too pudgy to play it. And they wanted him to replace her with someone else, and he wouldn't do it.
Well, and had you read this? I read, which kind of made me mad as a woman, that of course you realize, I mean, that she was pregnant in real life by the end of season 1, that they wanted to replace her at that point. Like,
right, because she was gaining too much weight.
Yeah. And it's just like, the fact I'm so glad that Chris Carter stood his ground on that. Cause I can't imagine.
He wrote her out of the episodes. He wrote her out of the episodes in time for her to give birth and then come back.
Yes. And it's just like, that actually, I mean, how do you punish a woman for, doing what our bodies can do? We're made for. Like, that's just unacceptable, quite frankly. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that he stood with her.
Yeah. I'm glad he stood with her. So she had a loyalty to him. And so she, said that she'd stick with the show until he either wanted her to leave or the show came to a natural conclusion. So I'm glad but she couldn't carry it by herself. She did really good, but which really proves that Mulder and Scully were that show. It's not just one of them.
Yes. And that's the kicker is, in a way, and maybe this is just because I'm a woman, so it very well is just that. In a way, I probably prefer more Scully than Mulder in a way, as far as the actual character. But if there's too long, just one without the other, it doesn't work because we're used to the two of them together. Exactly. Like we want them both. Like it's nothing against the actors. They're both great. It's just the dynamic of the show is the two of them back and forth. I mean, it is what it is.
And when they paired her up with John Doggett, it was this bizarre role switch. Scully had been in it so long that she was now the believer in all of the supernatural stuff, and Doggett was this hardcore, straight up street cop who didn't believe in any of that bullshit. He said that a couple of times, and so it was her trying to show him that he was wrong. Yes. So it was this bizarre flip. And then when Gillian Anderson wanted to step back, they bring in Annabeth Gish, who plays Monica Reyes, who is I liked her. And I love Annabeth Gish. I've met her in real life, and she is a darling, darling person. But she plays this traditional FBI agent, but is also very much into New Age and spiritualism. So she was this weird amalgamation of Mulder and Scully in some way.
Yes. Yeah. No, I watched enough to pick that up. Right. As far as, and I'll rewatch it. When I rewatch it, I'm sure I'll go through all of it, because then it won't hit me hard. I know what to expect.
Yeah. But there's some really good episodes hidden in there. Okay. The one called, I believe it's called Peace, is the one where Doggett addresses the death of his son who was murdered.
I feel like I watched like a few minutes of that.
That's a hard one. And then there's one called Sunshine Days, which is the one before the finale airs. It's this weird Brady Bunch parallel universe that's really, really fun.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. So do you want to get into what I can't think, because again, I've only watched it one time. So I feel like on a second time I'll have a better grasp of which episodes really I love.
Yeah. Let's talk about the episodes, and let's talk about seasons. And also, are you are you a Mulder-Scully relationship person or a Mulder-Scully platonic person? Because there was quite a war between us when the show was on its original run.
Anyone who thinks these two are just platonic, like, don't understand chemistry, life, and relationships. Like, that's just all I've got to say. No, like, to quote when Harry met Sally, Harry, men and women cannot be friends. Like,
not like that.
Not like that. Not like that. Not to the point of, I even think of their relationship, what's so priceless about it, what you love about, and even this, you really see this even by the end of like season 1 for the most part. It's already there. It's already developed. But definitely by season 2, when she goes missing, you really see, to quote scripture, I mean, that's what comes to my mind when I think of their two relationship. No greater love than this, that a man would lay down his life for his friend. It's just like, that is the level of their love for one another. They both are willing to put themselves at life's harm, like at the point of death for the other one, like all the time. They do all the time.
How many times, they've had each other at gunpoint at some point, when they were like mind melded and things like that. And Scully's cancer arc, he was there for her, and she was breaking all kinds of federal rules in season 1 trying to rescue him.
Yes. Yes. No, definitely. And they both do. And that's even where, what is it, the end of season like 4 or 5, where she goes before like the FBI, and they try to present it like she's ratting him out finally. And even watching that episode, I was like, she's in on this. Scully would never do this. Like, never would she sell him out. But that's what you appreciate. So I'm a hardcore relationship person. In fact, if there's something that I would critique, it's like, stop playing with our emotions, Chris Carter, and just give us what we frickin' want.
I was always of that. It made me so mad. He would dangle it. He knew what he was doing. He would dangle it, and then he would take it away, and then he'd introduce, past loves. Like they all had past significant others that came back. Mulder had Phoebe, the British bitch.
Yes.
Pardon my French. And then
the one woman.
Him, and then he had the little interlude with the vampire woman.
Yes, he did.
And then she had that older FBI agent she had dated, and then that older doctor she had dated that suddenly came back into her life. And then she had that interlude with the guy that Jodie Foster was his tattoo that talked to him. Yes,
yes. Yes, that episode was fun, actually.
That was a fun episode. It really was. And the jealousy that Mulder had when she finally came back and told him what happened, he was just all like up in his feelings.
Well, that's the thing. And she gets so jealous with him too, like almost from the beginning. And that's where I say, even to quote when Harry met Sally, it's just so obvious that they both have feelings for each other that go deeper than just platonic friends.
Exactly. And a Silver Girl, they were one of mine too. Probably before them was Diana Prince and Steve Trevor from the old Wonder Woman series. But
okay.
That was kind of in your face.
Yes. I've never watched the actual series, but I'm sure.
Yeah, you should. It's Lyle Wagner and Linda Carter. Classic. Got to go check that out too when you get a chance.
Okay, yes. But yeah, so I'm definitely team Mulder and Scully all the way forever.
Me too. Me too. Okay, well, let's talk about seasons and the episodes then. And also, are you more of a fan of the Monster of the Week or the overarching conspiracy?
Well, okay, so the overarching conspiracy were the episodes where like it was much watch. Like, of course, I'm watching this on Hulu, so I can just go to the next. And it was when it was to be continued. Oh, I'm continuing. Like, I lost sleep during this, like, because it would be like to be continued, and it's like 11:30. I'm like, but I gotta know what happens. like I need to know what Mulder or Scully is doing, like what's going on with this alien situation, what's going on. And so I love those, but then some of the Monster of the Week episodes were so developed their relationship and were so much fun too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Yeah, like that's the thing. As much as yes, those overarching ones were the ones that like you had to watch that next episode. Like you were definitely in it to watch. But the Monster of the Week ones were really fun too.
They had a nice rhythm, at least for the first 6 seasons. It would be like 3 or 4 Monster of the Week episodes in a row, and then they would have this block of 3 overarching conspiracy mythology episodes. It was almost like a mini movie, a 90-minute mini movie, and you had to watch all 3 of them or you would miss out on a huge chunk of what they were talking. Then they'd go back 4 or 5 more Monster of the Weeks and then another 3. So he had a nice rhythm. And back then is when they would do 24, 26 episodes of a TV show.
Wonderful.
It was. Now they only do 8 or 9 episodes,
and they can't write things half as good. And they've got 8 episodes at 35 minutes. So
exactly. And these were 26 episodes at 1 hour each.
Yeah, like 45 minutes when you take out the commercials, which now that's like 42 because they've added more commercials into stuff.
Exactly.
But yes, no. So I loved both. And if you also, I did notice, and I'm sure I'm going to notice so much more as I go back and rewatch this a second time. But I even noticed, like, say with the Monster of the Week episodes, there would be themes. Like there might be 3 episodes. One deals with like could deal with the Christian spiritual element. One could deal with the occult. One could, like they'll keep it, like say in that case it would be spiritual, like it, or monsters, or like they did a good job of they kind of hit these themes even on the Monster of the Week episodes where it would be different, but it would be in the same vein.
Exactly. And then when a Monster of the Week really hit, they would sometimes bring them back. Case in point, 2 of my favorite episodes, Tombs and Squeeze.
Okay, that was an excellent episode. In fact, that one, and clearly they knew what they were doing because they brought this guy back too. And 𝗙𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗰 in like season 7, that creep guy that like
the serial killer. I can't.
Yeah, that's like name. you need a deep cleanse with your hair. You're like, oh gosh, like please get away from my hair.
It was just perfect casting in a lot of that. And and the episode where Scully's father passes away and she's talking to him through the psychic prisoner, who's played by Stephen Dorff, who is the voice of Chucky in Child's Play.
Okay. Yeah. I've never watched Chucky.
Actor. Yeah. So many great guest stars in the X-Files.
Yes.
So many you can't even count them.
Yes. Oh, like, and then like especially as the season got going, like it's like I know him, her, him. Like it was like all kinds of different people.
The chief from Grey's Anatomy was A.D. Kirsch.
Oh, that's where I knew him. That never clicked. Yes. You know, it's because like you really don't like Kirsch until he finally redeems himself at the very end of the show.
Chief Weber.
Yeah.
And Mitch Pileggi was in Grey's Anatomy too. He played the hospital. He was the head of the board of directors of the hospital.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of crossover between those 2 shows.
Got you. Yes. Yeah. I'd recognize a lot of people from shows like 24, from like lots of different shows. I mean, Shia LaBeouf was in one. It was like, I was like, is that Shia LaBeouf? And it was like, yep, it's definitely Shia LaBeouf.
Yep. So many. But okay, seasons or episodes. Your favorite seasons, favorite episodes?
Okay, so seasons, and I'm going to be able to really nail down my favorite seasons on a second time watching the show. But I will say this, though I enjoyed the entirety of the show, including the 2 movies. Now, the first movie was better than the second, but the second I still enjoyed. Awesome. First movie's fantastic.
Yeah, you could watch that movie. You could go into that movie and not know anything about the X-Files series and still enjoy it.
Yes.
Because they did a great job in catching you up to where you needed to be in about 30 seconds of Mulder talking to a bartender.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was, I loved that, especially loved the first, like the second one, loved the first one. And so I liked all of it, but I will say in particular, if I'm having to put on my critical thinker hat here, I would say the first 5 seasons in particular is some of the best television I have watched in a very long time. Yep. Those first 5 seasons is dang good television.
It
like
is.
Like there's hardly a bad episode in the first 5 seasons. They're just so good.
I agree. And then there's select episodes from 7, 8, 9 that I like. And then the same with the revival, that seasons 10 and 11. Select episodes that I like. I didn't like all of it, but there were select episodes that I liked.
And what's good about this show is and with that being said, I still thought season 6 was very good. And again, I enjoyed the rest of it. It's just those first 5, the writing was impeccable. It was just so good. But like, and even the revival, like, I'm sure I'll find some of it more ridiculous when I watch it a second time. But at that point, it was like the two of them are back and I don't even care.
Yeah, like, exactly. I just want to see them.
Yeah, like the story. That's the great thing about when you have two great characters. The show could even not be up to par, but like, because I love them, I don't even care as much. Like, I'm invested in them.
Well, interesting you should say that, because Chris Carter has said in many interviews that the reason he did season 10 and 11, that was a love letter to the fans. That was basically fan fiction for the fans. And I'm a big reader of X-Files fan fiction. There's so many great websites out there for that. But he said that was to the fans who have been his loyal supporters. He wanted to give them what they want. That's more Mulder and Scully. And that's that. Obviously, the relationship is no longer implied. It's just there.
Yes.
So.
Well, but even then, he doesn't technically get them together until the second season of the revival.
Exactly. Technically.
I'm like, why would you do that to us?
That's another reason that I have to say I only like select episodes from 8, 9, and 10, 8, and 9, because, okay, she's pregnant. Scully's pregnant. Mm-hmm. Everybody's of the opinion it's probably Mulder's baby, but he's telling everybody he doesn't know. And then we get all the way to the revival to find out it was some bizarre medical experiment by cigarette smoking man.
Yeah, I didn't love that, but I was just willing.
I didn't like that at all.
I did not love that, but it was just like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll change it in my mind if I need to.
It ended with her being pregnant, so that's good.
Yes. And you tell me, because I know you show up in all of our Christian panels and stuff. I immediately thought Chris Carter, I believe in his mind, the first pregnancy was supposed to be symbolic of like Mary. The second one was Elizabeth. Yeah. Like someone who was too old to have kids. Maybe
she was like 47, 48 canonically. Yes, so that's my age. I mean, it could happen.
It can happen. It's just rare.
It's rare.
Well, and especially with this character who's not supposed to be able to have kids in her 30s.
Exactly.
That's the issue there. Even beyond her age is the fact
Abraham and Sarah. It was
like she's not supposed to be able to have this. So
right.
So I kind of feel like he was going for something a little biblical there. I really think, and I guess they still talk. I know Gillian Anderson has said that she's done. I feel like personally, we deserve a 2-hour movie that just fully gives us everything we want. Like, you just fast forward, the child's born, and give us like a really great send off of an X-File. Like, let him go on a great last X-File and just give us the freaking happy ending we all deserve.
Yeah, well, supposedly they've sold the rights to someone else who supposedly got a new series in the works. He's already said it will not be focusing on Mulder and Scully, which I think, okay, I get that they probably shouldn't be the focus, but you can give us Mulder and Scully. They can be in the series, maybe just not the focal point.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't ruin it because that's one of the biggest things. They always talk about there wasn't enough diversity in the X-Files. Okay. If you look at the core group of, let's call it 5, 6 characters. Okay. Yeah. Most of them were white. I'll give you that. But it was also
and it was 1992. Exactly. Demographics were different.
Exactly. But if you look at the overarching series of all the guest stars, all the side characters, tons of diversity.
Yes.
Tons of diversity. So.
Well, and my thing too of why I say, like, when I say that, I want just them, because that's fine. You can make some other X-File show, but at the end of and maybe people like it. X amount of people like it. But what made the X-Files special isn't necessarily all the other stuff that we mentioned, though there's so many great things that make the show amazing. It's Mulder and Scully.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
and played by David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, and
Exactly.
that is the show. That's like, in theory, another Fox show that I thought was incredible when it ran, that started towards the end of the X-Files, kind of be winding down, would be 24.
Yeah,
And in theory, you could have great writers who write new great episodes of 24. But the problem is, for us 24 fans, if it's not Kiefer Sutherland and it's not Jack Bauer, we don't care.
exactly.
So, and it's the same with this show. It's the two of them we want.
Yeah, maybe, Mulder. I mean, Mulder is now an FBI assistant director, and maybe Scully is working as a doctor at the hospital, or is just a stay-at-home mom, which is kind of, I think, what she wanted to be.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they're in the background, and he's supervising this new slate of agents. Cool, but still give us some Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I just want their own movie, just the two of them.
Yeah.
And give me what I want. And then I don't even care what they do. I don't care.
I would love to see their other child would now be 11, 12, and maybe they find William.
Yes.
Because they still care about William. I don't care what kind of experiment he was. And they find William and they settle this, and but the overarching conspiracy. So basically what I finally got out of it after my 9th watch was that the government is in cahoots with aliens, and they're trying to both kill us off with this super virus and replace us with alien human hybrids and super soldiers, so that the aliens can repopulate and take over the earth. And that these elite people that have sold us out will be the only survivors that are still at the level of humans as they are now.
Yes. No, I think you're right on that. I would say that that's what I took away from it as well. So I think that's very accurate. And I do like how they always kept playing with you on, are there aliens? Is it just a government conspiracy?
Which, Chris Carter is very big libertarian. He's never trusted the government, and he wrote that all into that show.
Okay. So. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as episodes, you name one. The Tombs one was good. I mentioned one, the one with the serial, we'll say rapist for YouTube. But I also really enjoyed, because they did so many episodes that did callbacks to famous horror movies. And I really enjoyed in season 1, was it called 𝗚ICE? Like, it was clearly like about The Thing.
The Thing. Yeah. Yes. With John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes. And I loved that episode. And for so many reasons. One, just I thought they did such a unique take on The Thing, but in the X-Files world. But secondly, I feel like that episode in particular is kind of where they really kind of not cross the line. I don't mean cross the line. It's like, I think it's in that episode they really trust each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a turning point in their, at that point, friendship, partnership type thing.
Exactly. And then there's another one that same season called Fire, which is clearly a riff on Stephen King's Firestarter.
Oh, okay.
With the pyromancer. That's where we first get, Phoebe from London. Not my favorite.
Yes. I remember that one.
The worst Phoebe. Not like Phoebe from Friends.
Not Phoebe Buffet. Not that Phoebe. But another Phoebe.
And then Postmodern Prometheus, which was a riff on the Frankenstein story.
Yes.
That was really good.
That was good. Yeah, they just had so many like that definitely echoed or were their take on some horror franchise that I really enjoyed.
Oh, interesting trivia. The whole horror franchise, God, what is the name of it? Not Wrong Turn, but Wrong Turn too. They did their own version of Wrong Turn with Home.
I haven't seen Wrong Turn.
It's about cannibal hillbillies. They did the whole Home episode.
That's the episode that got banned from television. I read
it only ran once in prime time.
Yes,
it never ran in syndication.
And that one actually really stands out to my brain because it was so gross.
Oh yeah,
you're like, dang, like they went there. Yeah, it was a pretty gross episode.
It was, and then the whole franchise of Final Destination. Interesting trivia. That was written as an episode of the X-Files, and then they loved it so much they just turned it into a movie, and it spawned a whole franchise. We never got to
Wow.
see it as an X-File. We got a version of it in season 7 called Wednesday, where their day kept repeating. It was kind of like
Yes,
Groundhog's
yes.
Day. That was a version of it, but it was the original, like Final Destination could have been an X-Files episode, but instead they turned it into a movie.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that would have been fun. I would have enjoyed that one. I'm
to
trying
see
to
them
think.
trying to figure out
I'm,
Death's plan.
I'm trying to think because you know what better. Name off some of your favorite episodes because.
Let's see. The pilot, of course.
Yes.
Ice, Fire, Postmodern Prometheus, Home.
Which one is Home?
Home is the one with the cannibals.
Okay.
The hillbilly.
Yes.
One with Sheriff Andy Taylor.
Yes.
And one of my very favorite ones is one that Gillian Anderson wrote and directed, All Things. That's the one with her doctor friend her former love interest that was the doctor. He was in hospital there. The one that with all the Buddhist imagery and stuff like that. She actually wrote that.
Okay. I didn't realize she wrote that.
And directed it. And that's the one that she said that she wrote it to be that they slept together, but Chris Carter wanted it to make it a little more ambiguous. So that's the reason they just had her like adjusting herself in a mirror and leaving. But she was actually supposed to get out of his bed, and Chris Carter changed it.
So, but he says he left it ambiguous. Like at the end of the episode, she just falls asleep. I don't feel that's even ambiguous. I feel like she just fell asleep.
Well, at the opening of the episode,
the opening, they make it like, I was like, what?
Yeah. That was supposed to be, it was supposed to be like she was getting out of his bed.
Yes. But then it just felt like they misdirected you because at the end, she
falls asleep on, but she could have easily gotten up and went to the bedroom, girl.
Like we can dream.
We can dream. But according to Gillian, she had intended it for it to be their first time canonically sealing the deal.
Well, because there just comes a point. It's like, we'll get back in we're two girls. We can talk about the relationship more. There comes a point, like you're watching that movie and you're just like, for the love of God, like just kiss. Like,
I know.
How do you even like not bring that up down the road? Like, that moment we shared before we clearly were about to kiss and a bee stung me that almost killed me.
Oh, no. And have you seen the uncut, the unedited version?
Yes.
Of that? There's an extended version where they do kiss. And again, Chris Carter took it out because Chris Carter likes to be that way.
Why does he like to ruin all of our fun?
He likes to play with the fans. I've seen him in so many interviews. He loves the fans, but he does love to play with the shippers. He loves to troll us.
Yeah, because it's just like, even sometimes like shows just evolve. And even had he genuinely plotted in his mind, they're going to be platonic work friends. That is it.
Right.
When you get these two on camera and there's that much chemistry, that just goes out the window. I'm sorry. It's not viable at that point. Like these two absolutely would have been in a relationship.
Yeah. And then another favorite of mine is The Unnatural. It's written and directed by David Duchovny. It's the baseball episode where the first African-American baseball player was an alien.
Yes. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. That one, you even have the picture up from that one.
You can see I'm a shipper by the
my
montage right there.
I just would love to hear from someone who's not. Like, how are you not a shipper? Do you just not like I feel like that person just doesn't believe in love. Like,
yeah.
Like, because if you do, I don't get how you don't. Like, there's just some people, it's very obvious. Like, they at least got to explore and see where it goes.
Exactly. And yet, but they didn't have they had a very tumultuous relationship. I mean, they had a baby together by the end of the show. They ran away to parts unknown. And then we come back to the second movie and they're living together way out in a farmhouse. And he's a recluse and she's working at a hospital to support them. And then I was kind of thinking like Mulder, like you just going to make her be the total breadwinner here. Evidently. And then they, at the end, they go on that little vacation together. And
Yes.
then in the end credits, you can see them on the Caribbean island. And then it comes back to the new season, and they meet up, and we learn that they split up because Mulder got so depressed and Scully couldn't handle it. And so she left him. And he was bitter, and he was still living in that farmhouse even through season 10 and 11.
Yes. Yeah.
So they didn't have a very smooth relationship, but they, it was realistic because that happens to people.
It does. It does. And I think especially it can be realistic, especially even with, as much as I just want the fairy tale ending, it can be especially realistic for people. Like I think she even says in that second movie, like, I can't go in the darkness with you anymore, because it's like they really did, when you deal with the type of stuff they dealt with, like that truly is darkness, it would be hard not to be depressed.
I mean, God, you've uncovered a government conspiracy to basically end human life as we know it and replace us with aliens. I think I'd be in a mental hospital if I didn't kill myself. And YouTube, I am not suicidal. That was just being presumptuous. But I would be that way. I don't know how you can go on living a normal life knowing that.
Yes, that's pretty hard to come back from. And I think it makes sense that actually Scully would be able to, for starters, could we just appreciate how David Duchovny would scream, Scully, like the way he would say it? It made me laugh every time. Like it was the way he would pronounce it when he was like screaming for her, Scully. Like it was just like he really put an emphasis on it. But yeah, I think it is more believable the way he made it, in the sense of that Scully was able to have like kind of a normal life. Because even from the beginning, she's not the disaster. Like he's the disaster, really. Like for the first like 6 seasons, he doesn't even have a bedroom. I mean, he does. Well, I guess it technically supposed to be there, but he doesn't sleep on a bed.
Boxes. Yeah, he sleeps on his couch.
Yeah, like he's not really a high functioning adult.
And the only reason he even had a bed is when that
guy buys one.
Oh, I love him. He was actually a regular character on The Lone Gunman, but the CIA guy. But switched with him and bought a bed.
Yes. Yeah. And then he has one. But my point is I think Scully too, and I think it also goes back to something that does ground her, which I appreciated, because as a Christian, I remember it came to the first episode in season 1 where I realized they were dealing with like a Christian group. Now, I mean, I could argue on certain things of how ridiculous the people were. We could argue theology, but what I appreciate about the show, my nature, I have been trained at this point in 2024. I almost skipped the episode because I've been so trained that they're going to offend me. Like on something that I'm just not going to sit here and be offended on at this point anymore.
And you're talking about the one about Jeremiah, the faith healing boy, and then the Amish shape-shifting people.
Well, yeah, the Amish are the Amish. They're always a little odd, but anyways, so that first episode, like you're saying with Jeremiah, I was like, no, like, because since I watched so much older stuff, I want to see how they dealt with this in 1993. And I watched it, and that's where you really find out, like, I think they asked Scully, do you believe in the power of God? And she's like, yes. Like, and it was like, so what I'm getting at to say, even though I could argue theology on different things, I always appreciated that Chris Carter, I believe, was respectful of the Christian faith and to Christians. And I really appreciate that. He was.
There was Judaism in there. There was Buddhism in there. I don't think they ever put Islam in there until the final 2 episodes. But that show was never what you would call woke. And I hate using that term. It was never woke. It was just, they respected everybody.
Well, it was kind of more old liberal of like coexist.
The kind of liberal that I still am. I'm not this crazy.
It was kind of like the classic liberal view of things, but with that, there was still like, again, I'm just thinking of being a Christian, the Christian perspective. I appreciated that there was respect given, and that's all I asked for. you know, that's all I ask for. Just a little respect. And
Of course,
I really appreciate that.
It was probably because it was 2011, but in that season 11 episode where you had the lizard man,
Yeah.
The alligator man, he
Hold on,
you know, they talked.
hold on, the revival was 2016.
Oh yeah, so I can't believe
Yes.
they didn't get canceled. I can't believe they didn't, because they made that whole they made the trans joke in that one where he goes, "You can't change your sex," you know, just straight out.
Do you know why it worked? Because it was before, it was pre-election.
Oh, that's true.
And
That's
it didn't really hit the fan till November of 2016 when they lost their minds.
Right.
Yeah, and had to write all this stuff into television that no one wanted. But yes, no, that they did a good job with that. Anyways, what I was going to say is, I think it's believable that Scully's character, I think because she is so grounded in that her rationalism, but also her faith, is why it was believable for me that she could go on and live a life easier than Mulder could. Because I just feel it's hard when it's a little harder when you know all that you're going and you don't have that faith to lean back on.
And it's just like, you know, he was looking for his sister.
Yes.
The entire time. And then by the end of season
they really played
7,
with you on that.
Yeah. By the end of season 7, when you realize, okay, he found out, yes, she's really dead.
Yes.
You know, then his whole focus switched, and now he wanted to know why. He went from trying to find what happened to her to why. Yes. And so he became obsessed with that. And that carried him through to the rest of the time.
Yes, no, definitely. And I enjoyed that arc with the sister. And of course it's sad how it ends, but that's probably more realistic with the show. But I mean, the show at times would revive him after being dead for 6 months. So it kind of did what it wants when it wants. But
they both had these very dark arcs. I mean,
they did.
They lost everyone in their families, both of them.
Yes.
I mean, he lost his guy he thought was his dad.
Yes.
He lost his mom. His sister, you know, was the focus of his search. And then on Scully's side, her father died in season 1 or 2.
I think it's 1.
Her sister gets shot because they think it's Scully in season 3. And then her mom dies in the revival series. She lost. They had nothing left but each other.
Yeah. Well, Scully still had her 2 brothers, but we only met one brother.
Yeah, he didn't like Mulder, the old Bill.
Oh, he couldn't stand Mulder. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely was not a Mulder fan.
No.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of other episodes that stood out. Again, these are things that I will pick up more on when one I actually had a lot of fun with, and I feel like it's in maybe season 5 or 6. They're supposed to be going to like an FBI retreat.
Oh yeah.
And they get like they're in the woods and it's almost like a Predator type thing. Like I feel like it can go invisible or something.
The Moss people.
The Moss people. Yes, it was the Moss people. The Predator thing I think was later on. Yeah. But yes, I actually and why do I like that episode? Because it really furthers their relationship.
Yeah, it does, and it's fun, and that's the one where they get caught out there and she sings Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Yes, there are just so many fun episodes. And then you do have, you know, it's important in a show to have a good villain, and Smoking. I really haven't brought up Smoking Man, or the Smoking Man. He, man, when they like shoot him in like season 5, I was like, man, like that sucks, because he's such a good villain. Like you love him being on the show.
Oh, he is. And I've met him at a couple of Comic-Cons. He always remembers me, and he is such a nice guy. He is such a nice guy. I was talking to him. I think I saw it. The last time I talked to him was 2019. And I was asking him what he's been doing lately. Can he recommend any of his recent work? He said, I've only done one movie in the last couple of years, and it's not very good. Don't watch it.
He's honest.
He's married to a much, much younger woman who's a Swedish model, and she's always with him, and she's super sweet too. They make a good couple. But Murder by Maestro here, it's crazy how the current state of UFO disclosure has followed the character arc of Mulder. It is strange how so many things that Chris Carter wrote about have actually been proven to be somewhat true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in fact, that he brings up a good point, because even now, when they talk about UFOs, it kind of feels like the way they almost make it in the show for a while, where it feels like you feel like your government's covering something,
Yeah.
actually covering something real up with this. It's how it feels.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, here's
Maybe.
the big question. Do you believe in aliens and supernatural?
Do you know? Well, I mean, obviously, I believe in the supernatural.
Well,
As far as being a Christian, my grandfather, who was a minister, he did believe in aliens. I don't necessarily really believe in aliens, but honestly, I'm the type, like, my brain doesn't really think about it that much, anyways. You know,
yeah.
it's just kind of like, if they're there, I'm not really concerned with it. I actually have a theory on aliens that I came to watching this show. I feel like aliens, and some of your people in your comments might hate me for this. It's fine. If you don't agree, it's whatever. I feel like sometimes alien is almost like, it almost comes back to like that Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan podcast, where he's like, oh, you go for the more science fiction view of life. It's almost like aliens feels like within humanity, I believe there's this knowing that there's something more than us. Like, we know that. And we're all searching for what that is. Obviously, as a Christian, I believe that is God. And I feel like for some people, that's aliens. I don't know. And I mean, maybe aliens exist. I don't know. They could. Again, my grandfather believed in them. I don't know. It's just sometimes it feels like it can be a replacement for because, again, I believe there's something in us that knows there's something more than this.
Could be. Of course, as a Christian, and I've only recently returned to faith in the last year. Of course, I believe in the supernatural. I believe in God. I believe in angels, demons, all of that stuff. Now, do I believe that ghosts can haunt us?
I don't really.
Not really, but I do believe that the dearly departed can still view us in some way, shape, or form. I really do. But when it comes to aliens, this is my opinion on it. It would be very arrogant of me to sit here and say that God only created this world. So I believe if he created other worlds, he probably created other life. And that's just the way I kind of look at that. Do I know for sure? No. But I just believe it's very presumptuous of me to think that I'm the best God can do. Kind of thing.
Well, well, what I say with that too is, I mean, we do know from scripture there's all these creatures that are hard for John to describe, which, I mean, in their own way, it's alien to us, right. At the very least. So I don't know. We'll see. I've never been that concerned with it.
No, it's not something I dwell on. Yeah. But if someone asks me,
Yes, I'm kind of like, well, I don't personally really think so, but my grandfather did, so who knows? I don't know. We'll maybe one day we'll find out.
Exactly.
But again, it's kind of like some of those Babylon Bee skits where, like, if the aliens did come, they'd just be like, we're out. What? Like, what are they doing? We're
gone. Speaking of Babylon Bee, something similar, PragerU. They have the series of skits. I forget how long ago it was, but it was when Game of Thrones was really big. I mean, really big. And some of the lore of Game of Thrones, how there was a wall built in the northern half, and all the humans on one side of it are wildlings called the Free Folk, and then everybody else is in Westeros. Well, they were these two Westerosi guys standing there going, okay, so we're here ruled by a king and by feudal lords, but across that wall are all these free folk that are ruled by nobody. If anybody leads them, it's by their choice, and they're like, why are we here? Let's go scale the wall.
Yeah, no. That's pretty good. I've never watched Game of Thrones. Like, I followed the story, but I've never watched it.
Well, that's another one you should check out. But I highly recommend listening to some of the lore videos on
Okay.
if you don't have time to actually read or listen to the books, I would say watch some of the lore videos on YouTube and get some of the background before you jump right into the show, because it really helps if you have some
Hmm.
background, because the show does its best to fill in the gaps, but you really have to know a lot about that world before you can jump in.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like, the Lord of the Rings, I think they did a really good job, the movies, with explaining that, but I understood it better because I had read the books.
Okay,
So,
yes. Yeah. And they do a pretty good job. So I've got to ask, have you read, like I just saw like they have a new book. Have you read it, listened or read to any of the X-Files books that have actually been published?
yes, I've read, I got an entire season of the comic books, and I have read some of the novels.
Are any of the novels good?
They are. They're very good.
Okay.
I put them right into the category with let's go to Star Wars, one of your favorites. The Star Wars Extended Universe, the
Okay.
Anthony Zahn books.
Yes.
I put it in the same category with those. Those were really good.
Okay. So you feel like the authors capture Mulder and Scully pretty
Oh yeah,
well?
they do.
Okay.
They
You're
do.
gonna have to after the show, you'll have to let me know like where to start. Because I
Okay.
need something to listen to just when
Yeah.
I'm going about my day.
Well, all right. Well, it has been awesome meeting with you. I don't want to keep you all night, but it has been awesome. I'm so glad you finally watched the show. I'll definitely be checking your stream out tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm so glad you recommended it. So thank you. Because
well,
I became, though I've not watched it 8 or 9 times like you, I immediately became a massive fan.
You cannot. It's such a great show. It's one of those shows that will live in infamy. There's a few of those shows. There's, for me, it's X-Files, Friends, The Office, going back, even further, All in the Family, Alice, all of those. There's some shows that are just touchstones, I think.
Yes.
And yes, they all have their problems, but you have to look at them as time capsules.
Yes. Well, and for me, it was so much fun to go because I was born in 1989, so I was a 90s kid.
Right.
So it was just so fun to revisit the 90s.
Yeah. The X-Files is so 90s.
It's so 90s.
So 90s. And then, those are time capsules. You can't take them and you can't look at them as you do through the lens of our current day, which is why I'm such a fan of classic movies, like going back to Hollywood's golden age. Yes, of course, they had their problems. Hollywood was very racist. The country was very racist in the 40s and 50s. And there's things that are said in those movies that I don't like. But they're still very good movies, very good stories. And you just have to learn to accept them for what they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, I don't even see anything offensive, even for people today when we're rewatching the X-Files.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. That one joke in the revival series about you can't change your sex might be the closest to offensive in the whole 11 seasons. And to me, that was just funny.
Oh, it was funny.
The context it was said, it was just funny.
No, that episode was pretty humorous.
I know, with him having the fantasies of telling the story about how he made out with Scully.
Oh my gosh.
And Mulder's like, that didn't happen.
Oh, he went further than make out.
Oh yeah, he schlopped her in the back room. But
yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I really do. I wish I wish for the bottom of my now X-Files loving heart, I really wish that they could get together for a 2-hour movie and just give us a final wrap up. Because I do believe at this point, these characters deserve a happy ending.
I want to see a happy ending. I would love to just make a 2-hour direct to streaming movie. That's all. That's all we know. You don't have to put it in theaters. Just direct to streaming. And
so who did 20th Century Fox sell the rights to?
Oh God. I want to say it's the guy that did the new Candyman movie.
Oh no! I know Ryan Coogler is associated with it.
Ryan Coogler.
But he bought the rights to for anything further with X-Files?
I think so. Yes.
Well, Ryan Coogler's gonna need to. He can do his own show, but I need what I need. So
I wish he would do an homage to us older fans. Not that you're older; I'm a lot older than you, but us older X-Files fans of the old series and let us have our happy ending. Then he can take it and run with it. I'd be very interested to see what he'll do with it.
Yeah, like in fact, when I say give them a final conclusion, happy ending, like give them a final conclusion, happy ending. Like
they're happily married with their 12-year-old or 13-year-old, wherever they are.
yes, like and they can be retired. They can retire fine. I don't care what they do. Like but give them that happy, because I feel like as fans, like I know shows want to be realistic, and again, I understand where this couple would have maybe fallen apart at times. But at the end of the day, I feel like for your fans, at the end of the day, at the very end of a show, just give us what we want. Just make it happy.
Give us that and then reboot it. I'd love to see what you'll do with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you try to retcon it, I'm not going to like your show. I'm not going to watch it, and I'm going to disparage it online.
Yeah.
That's just the way
we will passionately roast it online. Exactly. You've been warned.
But, I wouldn't mind seeing, different types of characters in that show. It'd be great. As long as the stories are good, I don't care. It's like going back to what you said about the old 90s liberals that were colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's a good character, I don't care what color they are.
I
was wondering how they would, in House of the Dragon, they took one of the Valyrian families and made them black with Valyrian features. So they're African Americans or black. Well, some of them are British. So they're black people with blonde hair and blue eyes. So it's an interesting contrast. But that family has turned out to be my favorite family in House of the Dragon. I don't see their color. I just see them as great characters. So what I'm saying is it doesn't matter as long as you do justice to the character in the story.
Well, what matters is writing good characters and casting good actors.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all people want. People want a well-written story with well-written, thought-out characters with good actors. Like it.
Exactly.
We don't care what color they are.
As a gay person, I've always said that my favorite gay era in gay cinema was the 90s and the 2000s, because they didn't write gay movies just to be overtly gay. Sometimes they did. They had some parodies out there that were overtly gay. But the gay cinema that I like is just good stories where the characters happen to be gay.
Yes, because the emphasis is still on a well-written, thought-out character and story.
Exactly. They just happen to be gay.
Yes.
And that's kind of what diversity should be.
Well, yeah. Not just let's have this list of this, and then the story's somewhere down here. It doesn't matter.
At least right now, the FBI doesn't hire blue-haired, tongue-pierced leftists. At least right now, but who knows? So Ryan Coogler, take that to mind. You can't have a blue-haired FBI agent with a tongue piercing. At least not right now. That could happen in the future, though.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
Well, anyway, Michelle, it has been awesome hanging out with you. I'll post your channel and everything down below for people to come check out your stream tomorrow night.
Yes.
And
tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Parting thoughts. Just thank you so much for having me. Again, you were the first person I reached out to because you had recommended that I watch the show and you had sold me on it. It was just kind of a timing thing of getting around to it. So thank you so much, because again, this has become one of my new favorite shows. I mean, Lord, I bought the poster.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I got sent the dolls. I love this show. It's definitely a show I'm going to rewatch. I'm going to rewatch it for the fall. I watched it for May and just finished it a few weeks ago. I'm going to rewatch it fall into winter.
It's really good. I watched it with my mother-in-law, who had never watched it, and we watched. I think it took us 3 months to get through all seasons, and plus the 2 movies, and we would literally watch 4 episodes a night, and it was just amazing seeing her see it for the first time, because she absolutely loved it.
It's so good. So yeah, thank you for recommending it. I love the show. Big fan of it now, and it's now one of my favorites. So thank you.
Awesome. My next recommendation, if you can find it, is The Lone Gunman. There's only 1 season, and if you love those characters, you should definitely check that out.
I did like those characters, so yes.
Yeah. All right, everyone. I'll be back really, really soon. I'll be back at around this time on Friday with my good friend, the Front Porch Conservative, talking about the decline of the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, getting into some crime and corruption. But this is a nice little fun detour. So everyone, thank you. And go check out Michelle's channel. And see you later, everyone. Have a great night.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.